Greetings everyone, this is Paige from EpicDuel. Today I'm going to be playing some 1v1 battles, but instead of my usual videos where I just record the battles and play them with music, I'm going to provide some commentary so that you guys can gain some insight into my thought process while I do the battles, so that it helps all of you improve as EpicDuel players rather than just like copying a build and not necessarily understanding what to do with it. So without further ado, I will now show you the build. So here is the build. It is a standard 6 focus blood mage technology build with a few stat adjustments from what you may normally see. So we just have 1100 HP as opposed to the 1087 you might have seen in previous videos. This is just because agility no longer exists, so we don't have to regard that. We just have a normal 6 focus build with the rest of the points of technology. However, we also do have 2 extra points of support so that we are more likely to go first, which makes our lives much easier. As for the skill tree, we have our main sources of damage in Plasma Cannon and Maelstrom, which scale off of technology, and we put 3 points in a Terrify to counter strength builds. Then we just have Maximum Mania, Energy Parasite, and the rest in Red Vision, which is pretty standard. Moving on to our weapons, we use a physical primary and a physical robot with energy ranged weapons so that we have a solid balance of damage types. For our primary cores, we use the Baby Yeti charge so that it increases the damage of our robot, and then we use the Sea King's Curse, which will be very useful to disable the enemy's weapon and armor cores. On our sidearm, we use Fortitude for the best stat value, and we use Corrosive Shot to remove the enemy's defenses, which will greatly increase our damage output. And then on armor, we use Eternal Hands to again increase our stats, and I use Infernal Blessing, but you can also use Health Reserve depending on your preference. I like Infernal Blessing just because it's very helpful against strength builds, and also I should mention that we put 120 armor obviously because most of our stats are in technology, so our resistances are already high. On our auxiliary, we use Absolution again for the best stat value, and personally I use True Shot just for that extra damage. But we don't use our Aux too much, so honestly you could run Consecrated Ground, Torment, Titan's Barrage, or anything else you might prefer. It's up to your preference. And finally, for our robot, we use the Yeti for its very high damage output, combined with the primary core as well as the powerful Chump passive that disables the enemy's weapons. And before we go into battle, I'd like to give a huge shout out to my best friend on EpicDuel Paige, as well as my close friends Zap, Savitar, Hisburb, Boom Doom, Sir Fabio, Sir Viera, and all of my family at Royal Legacy for their support. So our first battle here today is versus Alamdar, sorry, I don't know, but anyways, he is a 6 focus Cyber Hunter, and we went first, so this should be pretty easy. We're going to start with Corrosive Shot to reduce his defenses, and then we're just going to try to burst him down with our damage abilities. So here we can use the Yeti Claw just for that huge damage burst, and ideally he would heal here, but if he doesn't heal, then we can just use our cannon. So now we can just use our cannon because he used his Infernal Blessing. And now he needs to heal again because my Maelstrom can kill him, so now he's out of heals, but we have our Rage and we still have our gun and our Aux, so we're in a pretty good spot, I think. Here I'll just use my Infernal Blessing, so I have that going, and then I want to use my robot on Rage, so I'm going to save it for that. That deflection helps us a lot, even though we don't necessarily need it. And we're just going to use the normal one again because he already used his Aux, so we don't need to disable his weapons right now, because his gun probably won't do much damage. Since he used a static charge right away, we can just Parasite and take that back. Well, that's interesting. I wasn't expecting him to have Infernal Offering. Well, we could just use our gun here, and it doesn't really matter since our Parasite's still going, and he's dead. Next battle is versus Whiskey, and she is a strength tech mage, so we're going to start with Terrify. She started with Malfunction, which is pretty standard. I could use Blood Shield here, but I imagine she has Torment since she's not running Azrael's Borg, so instead I'm just gonna chomp her so she can't use Exsanguinating Spears and get the lifesteal that she's looking for. To be safe, I'm gonna use my Infernal Blessing here because against strength builds we kind of want to use that early because they just do a lot of damage, and that block is very helpful for us. I'm gonna do Corrosive Shot here. Okay, there is the exsanguinating spears. Here, hopefully we can maybe use Sea Kings and then kill her, but since I am mouthed, it is harder for me to kill her, so instead I'm just gonna Terrify, and it sucks because she's probably going to Revy now, which makes things a bit harder, but since we do have that Terrify going, it's a lot harder for her to kill us, and she also did not use her Terrify, she used Yeti Fury instead, so this makes things much easier. Now we can just Sea King so she can't use Revy, and hopefully she should die on this turn. Our next battle is versus default name 1413. This is a technology support bounty hunter. So he starts with Bloodhawk. What he wants to do is kind of burst this down. So we're just gonna start with corrosive, and then he should use smoke on this turn maybe, but if not, we can just chomp him. He can't force us or smash our skull, so we still have a turn before his massacre is online. His massacre costs exactly that amount of energy, so we're just gonna parasite him because he can't do anything to kill us without his weapons or his robots, so hopefully we can just... I was hoping we could kill him here, but he does have cheap shots, so we lose that rage. But I think this might be able to kill. It ignores 30% defense, we're just gonna go for it. Nice. Next we are versus a Cyber Hunter with more support, and it's also a 5 focus build. So they started with Molten Shrapnel, so he wants to detonate that and kill us, but we're not gonna let that happen. We're gonna start with Corrosive, and then we're gonna use Chomp so that he can't force us and detonate that bullet. If he wants to detonate it later, we do still have Sea Kings to prevent that. There is the heal. I think we're gonna use Maelstrom to take his energy, and then hopefully we can survive, which we did. So now we can just use Sea Kings because once again he does not have his weapons anymore, and he used our robot. He used his robot already. He has the Cyber Shark active for 1 more round, so he can't use that. So ideally, if he doesn't block this Yeti, we just kill him. Next we have Soul, which is a 6 focus mercenary with maximum bunker. So the thing is that he is lower rank than us, which will make things easier. But I would say Mercenary is one of our tougher matchups, so let's see how this goes. We're just going to start with Corrosive Shot as usual. He does have 700 energy, which is pretty interesting. He has higher surgical than normal, as well as higher bunker than normal, but that should not be a problem. We're going to do Chomp so that he can't use Azrael's Will and do something like Force Surgical, which could cause us a problem. Okay, honestly, now that I think about it, I could have just killed him with my cannon, but it's fine. So he healed instead of using Surgical, which is really interesting because I thought he would want to use his energy on that, but that's good for us. So we're just going to use Maelstrom to take his energy, and then we still have, I think that was the last tick of Parasite. We're maybe the second tick of Parasite. This thing, like this thing that shows you the turns, it's very confusing. I will say that. I think it's a good feature, I just think it could use a little more clarification. So this is the last tick of Parasite. Okay, as you can see here, he has a lot of defense, but hopefully if we use Seekings, that'll remove enough defenses so that we can just use our Yeti and kill him. He can't use Bunker, he can't use Surgical, and he just used his Cyber Shark attack, so he is very unlikely to do damage to us right now. We're battling Saiha. She is a Strength Blood Mage. This matchup is a lot easier using the Beauty Bot, but the Yeti I think is better overall right now, so we're just gonna have to make it work. We're gonna start with Terrify, as we always do, standard versus strength builds, and then now we're gonna use Blessing because she has a lot of strength. She has like 88 base strength, which is higher than most strength builds, honestly. And now we can just chomp her so that she can't burst us with Skull Smasher, and then next turn we won't have both the Fireball and the Hunter's Mark on us, which will make things a lot easier. That crit was not ideal, but we can do Maelstrom here, I think is good. She has no energy now, so she can't use Revy. Although she could have used Revy anyway because she has no... She's on her knees, but that's fine. We're gonna do Seekings so that she loses her gun and she loses her Revy as well. If she has it, she can use her Armor Core. She did heal, which is pretty interesting, but that doesn't matter because she still doesn't have enough energy to use Revy. We're just gonna use our gun for that damage, and next turn we can easily kill her with our Yeti. Okay, this is Karadur. He likes to play these tanky, very annoying Cyber Hunter builds, but the thing is about his builds is that they don't really do damage, and he does have very little resistance, so this is very good for us. This should be quite easy. We're just going to start with Corrosive as usual. His dex is quite high, so it is much more difficult for us to guarantee that the Yeti chomp hits, so instead we're just going to use our chomp instead of the normal attack because it's very likely to be blocked, and also maybe we should just like use cannon instead because he has this shield up, so that really didn't do any damage. But like I said, the good news is that he cannot do damage to us, so this is going to do a lot of damage because he already has low defense, and we do have our rage still. Frost Shards is quite interesting. That should not be a problem for us. I'm just going to use my gun for that damage. He willingly gave up his damage to use Proton Cannon on me, which is certainly a choice. I think this kills. We'll see. 23 HP. I mean, even if he heals here, he doesn't do any damage to us, like I said, so we can just slowly kill him with whatever we have. Yeah, so here we just have to kill him. And next turn we can kill him with anything because the minimum damage you can do to any person is 30 with anything. Here we are versus Organ, who is a support mercenary, and this used to be a challenging matchup for us, but no longer so because we have Chomp and we have Sea King. So we're gonna start with Chomp. He can still multi, but it should not be able to kill us at all. And it gives us a lot of lifesteal because we do so much damage. Now I'm gonna go ahead and cannon. He has to heal. So he has Revi. We're just gonna use our normal heal because he can force Oxus on this turn, but it should not be able to kill us. He has Blood Commander, which is honestly really good for us. We're just gonna go ahead and Sea King so that once again he cannot Ox for 3 more turns. He can take our energy, but we could just take it right back, so he won't be able to use both multi and Ox. I should note that he has Absorption. We definitely don't want to give him his multi, so we're just going to use Gun. We're going to use Corrosive Shot for now so that we don't give him enough energy to multi. And this kills him, so now he's dead. Okay guys, this is going to be our last battle for the video. We are versus another Strength Blood Mage, so we're going to start with Terrify. Now we are going to use Infernal Blessing because we want that passive healing against the burst damage. Now we're going to use Chomp so she can't Skull Smash on this turn. She does have Cyber Yeti, which we have to watch out for. We're going to go for Maelstrom here. Just take that energy away so there's no funny business going on. I think we have to heal on this turn because she does have Rage. We're gonna do Corrosive into Yeti here, and hopefully that kills. Unfortunately, I did forget that she had the Cyber Yeti, so I'm gonna go ahead and Blood Shield because her gun and her primary are both energy, so we're gonna go. Just make sure she can't kill us. I'm sorry I got a call, but now she should not be able to kill us with the amount of energy that she has and the energy weapon, so we're just gonna go ahead and use our Yeti to kill her now. And that's it. I hope you learned something from watching my video. Thank you guys for watching. Bye!